Hey everyone, and welcome. Today, we are going to tackle something that might sound a little intimidating, but it's super important: the judgment. We're breaking down what really happens at the end of a municipal court case right here in Texas, so you can really get a handle on the whole process. All right, let's just dive right in. I mean, let's be honest, who hasn't, right? You see those flashing lights in the rearview mirror, you get that little slip of paper, and you probably think, a ticket. But really, that ticket, it's not the end of the story. It's actually just the beginning of a legal journey. And that journey always ends at a specific destination, and it's called a judgment. Now, I know, it sounds like a heavy, formal legal word, but don't worry. All it really means is the official end of the line, the court's final decision that says what happens next. So let's peel back the layers. What exactly is a judgment when we're talking about court? Think of it like this. The judgment is the court's final word. It's the official order that wraps everything up. It's the piece of paper that says once and for all whether you were found guilty, not guilty, or if the whole thing just gets dismissed. And this one decision does a lot of work. It's what gets entered after you make a plea or go through a trial. And here's the key part. It becomes a permanent part of the court's record. It's what officially kicks off any penalties or fines, or hopefully confirms a dismissal. And just so we're clear, we're talking specifically about Class C misdemeanors here. Things like traffic tickets, where the only punishment is a fine. Okay, so let's start with what everybody wants to hear about first, the best case outcomes. How can you make the case just go away? Well, that's called a dismissal. And believe it or not, there are a few different ways you can get there. A dismissal is, without a doubt, the goal. It means the case is totally over and, this is so important, there is no finding of guilt against you. It's like it never happened, a totally clean slate. And one of the simplest ways to get there is through what's known as a compliance dismissal. The whole idea is really straightforward. The court is basically saying, look, just prove to us that you fixed the original problem and we'll make this whole thing disappear. Let's look at some real-life examples here. Got a ticket for an expired driver's license or plates? A lot of the time, you can just go get them renewed, show the proof, pay a small $20 fee, and boom, case dismissed. And check this out. For no insurance, if you can prove you actually had insurance at the time, the dismissal fee is zero. The big takeaway here is that just by taking action and fixing the problem, you can often turn a big headache into a small administrative task. But what if it's not that simple? What if you can't just fix it and get it dismissed? Well, there's often another path, one that's kind of like a second chance, and it's built around something called an interim judgment. Now, this is a really interesting idea. The judge, based on your plea, technically finds you guilty, but, and this is a huge but, they hit the pause button. They hold off on making that judgment official to give you a shot at completing a program, like taking a driving safety course or staying out of trouble for a while. So what does that look like in practice? It's a pretty clear four-step journey. First, you plead guilty or no contest. Second, you agree to whatever the judge's terms are. Third, you go out and you successfully do everything they asked. And if you check all those boxes, you get to step 4. The case is dismissed. But you have to know, this path is like a fork in the road, and the stakes are really high. If you succeed and complete the terms, your case gets dismissed and nothing is reported. But if you fail, if you violate the terms, that pause button gets unpressed. The guilty judgment becomes final, a conviction gets reported, and it all goes on your record. It's a really powerful reason to see it through. Now, of course, not every single case ends in a dismissal or some special program. Sometimes a case goes all the way to a hearing or a trial, and that leads to one of the 2 classic outcomes we all know from TV. And here they are, laid out plain and simple. A guilty judgment means the court says, yep, you did it. You're going to get a fine, you'll have to pay court costs, and that conviction goes on your record. A not guilty judgment, on the other hand, is a total win. The court finds in your favor, the case is dismissed, and you walk away owing nothing. So we've walked through all these different paths: dismissals, second chances, trials. But why does understanding this one word, judgment, matter so much? Let's tie it all together. Here's the bottom line. A judgment isn't just some administrative detail. It is the final, official, permanent word on your case. It's what goes down in the records for good, and that has real-world consequences. You see, when you understand these possible outcomes, it puts you in the driver's seat. It gives you the power to protect your driving record. It helps you avoid big fines, maybe by choosing a path with a smaller dismissal fee instead. It means you can make a truly informed decision about your plea, and it lets you walk into that courthouse feeling a whole lot more confident.
Think of the court system like a map with a lot of different roads. It can feel confusing for sure, but every road on that map leads to a destination. And by understanding what a judgment is and all the different kinds there are, you now know what those final destinations look like. So the only real question left is, how are you going to choose to navigate your journey?